Nepal's Gen Z has taken its anger from hashtags to the streets, and the government has responded with bullets, tear gas and a curfew. What began as protests against corruption and a sweeping social media ban exploded into violence in Kathmandu. The clash has laid bare a generational revolt, a new wave of youth demanding accountability in a state still run by old power, nepotism and suppression. At least 16 protesters were killed on Monday as Nepal police used rubber bullets, tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds demanding an end to the social media ban and stronger action against corruption, AFP reported. From 9 a.m. on September 8th, demonstrators gathered at Maitigar in Kathmandu to voice their dissent. In recent days, hashtags such as Nepo Kid and Nepo Babies have been trending online, gaining momentum after the government decided to block unregistered social media platforms on September 5th. According to the Kathmandu District Administration Office, Hami Nepal organised the rally, which had sought prior approval. The group's chairperson, Sudan Gurung, said the protest was a response to government actions and corruption, and that similar demonstrations were being held across the country. Organisers have been using social media to share information on protest routes and safety tips. They have also urged students to join the demonstrations in their uniforms, carrying books. However, according to a report by the Kathmandu Post, protests took a violent turn on September 8th when Gen Z protesters stormed the federal parliament premises in New Baneshwar after breaking through police barricades and climbing over gates. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons to disperse the demonstrators who had pledged earlier to remain peaceful. The news publication further reported that the Kathmandu District Administration Office imposed a curfew from 12:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. in key areas around Baneshwar after the situation escalated. According to the curfew notice signed by Chief District Officer Chabi Rijal, the decision was taken according to the Article 6A of Local Administration Act 2028. The curfew covers New Baneshwar Chowk westward to Bijula Bazaar Bridge along the Everest Hotel, eastward to Tinkuna Chowk along the Min Bhawan Shantinagar, northward to Ratna Raja Secondary School along the Iplex Mall, and southward to Shankamul Bridge. The curfew was later extended to the President's residence, Shital Niwas area, Maharadganj, the Vice President's residence in Lainchaw, all sides of Singha Durbar, the Prime Minister's residence in Balawata, and surrounding areas. The Nepali army has been deployed in New Baneshwar after the situation intensified during the Gen Z protest against corruption and the government's social media ban. The army was mobilised following the imposition of a curfew in the area. Security forces had earlier fired tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, and even aerial shots to disperse the crowd, but demonstrators continued to clash with police. Notably, protesters from the Gen Z generation, born 1997-2012, have been demonstrating in Kathmandu, Pokhara, Butwal, Biratnagar and other cities against corruption and the government's decision to shut down social media. Actors Madan Krishna Shrestha and Haribansha Acharya publicly voiced their support for the protesters on Facebook, backing the youth-led movement. Acharya drew attention to the fragility of a recently paved road, questioning why public infrastructure funded by taxpayers fails so quickly. He wrote, "I wondered daily how this road could deteriorate so fast. I walked it daily, but only thought about it. Today's youth, however, do more than just think. They ask questions. Why did it collapse? How? Who is accountable?" This is just one example of the issues this generation raises. The voice we hear today is not against the system itself, but against the actions of leaders and officials responsible for it. He urged leaders to improve their performance and pass responsibilities to the younger generation, noting that today's youth expect more accountability. Shrestha echoed the sentiment, writing, I have seen the country through every era and experienced its struggles firsthand. Voices have been suppressed, nepotism and favouritism rampant, and the lust for power unchecked. Every day, thousands of youth are forced to leave for work abroad. Corruption has reached alarming levels, and even Mother Nepal seems to weep. Youth are the country's future, and their dreams mirror Nepal's. Years of stagnation have frustrated every citizen. This is today's Gen Z speaking. Their voices must be heard. Corrupt officials must be held accountable. Leaders who understand citizens' needs and the nation's aspirations realised. Singer and actor Prakash Saput encouraged two brothers, Sunil and Sachin, to join the protests, noting on Thursday that he had sent them 25,000 rupee each from YouTube earnings collected last month. He advised them to distribute the money for water, stay hydrated, remain disciplined, and not tire themselves by acting all at once. Actor and director Nishal Basnet also expressed support via TikTok, criticising how political leaders ignore the people once in power and create rules that suppress citizens. He observed that this time, unlike past protests led by individuals, young people residing in Nepal are actively raising their voices for their future. He also appealed to the police to prevent any incidents during the protests. Meanwhile, on September 7th, the Nepal government once again urged all social networking platforms to complete the registration process in Nepal. In a press statement issued, the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology called on all social media platforms to register in the country, reiterating the government's commitment to fostering a systematic and accountable digital environment while safeguarding the constitutional right to freedom of expression. Ministry spokesperson and Joint Secretary Gajendra Thakur urged platforms to appoint a focal person and designate an in-country grievance handling officer or team in order to comply with self-regulation requirements. He further clarified that registration incurs no cost and that deactivated platforms will be reactivated upon successful enlistment. The ministry stressed that social networking platforms must operate in full compliance with Nepali laws. It emphasised that no platform can function beyond the bounds of legal provisions, highlighting registration as an essential prerequisite. According to the ministry, Smart Idea PVT LTD, Hamro Patro, and Global Diary PVT L2D have already been reactivated after completing their registration. Similarly, international platforms such as Twitter, formerly X, and WeChat have initiated communication with officials regarding the enlistment process. The ministry also cautioned users against relying on unsafe, unofficial, and potentially risky virtual private networks, VPNs, to access deactivated platforms. Officials underscored that the regulated operation of social networking platforms is vital to safeguarding national interests. Earlier, the Nepal Telecommunications Authority, NTA, directed mobile and internet service providers to restrict access to 26 unregistered social networking platforms, including Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Snapchat, WeChat, among others. Service providers have since complied by disabling access to these platforms.